A lot of big games came out this week. Most of them came out on purpose. Here's a weird story. Sony leaked a game. That doesn't happen often or at all, but there's a new game called Planet of the Apes: Last Frontier, and a guy I follow from Sony tweeted it out on his Twitter feed, and I was like, oh, that game's out. That's weird. They dumped it out this week with no announcement. That seems sort of unfair to the game. I wonder if it's terrible. And then I paid $30 of my own money to download it,
right? And
I started it up, and it worked fine. And it's very much like kind of a Telltale game. What's interesting is it's one of those. It's one of those Sony PlayLink games where you use your phone as a controller, like it pairs. There's like a dedicated app for it, and when you start it up, it says, "Oh, here's the app you can get. It's on iOS." And I like pulled up the App Store. I'm like, I guess I'll try that out, and it wasn't on there, which was kind of an odd. Like I was like, well, maybe it takes a second, whatever. But yeah, it's basically like a very high-res sort of Telltale kind of interactive narrative type of game.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous.
And
you and I track this stuff all the time because we host Podcast Beyond here at IGN. We watch The Drop every single week, which is the big article saying all new things. You texted me the other day being like, this game is up, but it wasn't even in The Drop. They send this out to die.
Yeah, this game has had like a really weird sort of track record just in terms of sort of announcement. They teased it at New York Comic Con last year. Andy Serkis has been involved in the development. He's an executive producer on it. It's developed by a studio called Digerati, I think, like Paparazzi or Illuminati or whatever, but digital. And it's obviously they're reusing a lot of the technology that they developed for the mocap of the apes, and it's all like people playing the apes, and it's visually really impressive. So why would you just kind of dump it out there on the store without telling anybody? And the reason is they did not mean to do that and proceeded to take it down. So if you want to buy this game, I guess you got to sit tight for whenever they decide to release it.
So you have this on the PS4 on our desk right now, which is amazing because it's like if you got in that window and you bought it, there it is. But otherwise, you have to wait until fall 2017, which is the only actual discernible release date.
Which is strange. And there's two theories I have about this. About when they're going to release it or why they haven't already. One is that they are waiting for final support from the App Store, from the Apple Store, because I know that iTunes is very strange about release dates. They don't really like developers to have a hard release date, and we see this again with stuff like Nintendo's like Animal Crossing games or Super Mario Run, where they'll be like, it's coming in late November, and like that's a heavy hitter like like Nintendo. I imagine Sony's the same case. Even they can't like budge Apple to be like, give us a hard date. So maybe they're waiting for the app to be ready, and then they can be like, hey, this is coming out at this time, and they promote it and so on and so forth. The other alternative is that they're going to do one of those, and it's available now at either their Paris Games Week or PlayStation Expo press conference thing.
Yeah, I think this is fascinating for a game that's based on one of the biggest movies of the year, obviously one of the biggest budgets, War for the Planet of the Apes. If you haven't seen it, really, really cool film. But also, it kind of picks up where some events of the film left off, and Max hasn't seen the movie yet, and sort of just got shown some stuff.
I'm actually really confused. Apparently, I was reading on a news story we have up. Apparently, it takes place between Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes or whatever, which I'm not sure of. Again, it just seems odd to not. There's like no promotion for this really.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing. The game is by no means bad.
Yeah, it's also like, I don't know. I hate to be like that weird artsy guy that's just like, what is a game? But from what I've seen so far, it's sort of an interactive novel. Right, or an interactive movie.
Yeah, they've said it runs about 2 to 3 hours long, and it's got a bunch of different endings. And the whole point with sort of the PlayLink thing, or with it has controller support for up to 4 people, is the idea is that basically you're voting on where the story goes.
Right.
So you sit around with your friends, and you sit down and watch it. And I think that's. I mean, Telltale obviously always. I think they have a similar option like that for some of their games.
They've done like theater shows where they get a bunch of people in and they all make decisions on who Batman punches.
But it's mostly been about like, oh, you drive the story, but in this case, it's like, oh no, the whole room is determining what happens. So you could have one guy in there who screws it up, and it's like, I think the monkey should eat the baby or whatever. As far as it being like particularly exciting, it's very serious, very somber. It reminds me a bit of Walking Dead. It's also got some kind of like Last of Us vibes to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Planet of the Apes: The Last Frontier. Available ? 2017, I guess.
Come play it on our PS4 at work if you want to check it out.
Yeah, just swing by the office.
This kind of thing happens, right? Sometimes it's as simple as like walking in a room and turning on a switch. We here at IGN are guilty of it. We have broken embargoes by accident because we'll set a video to publish at 6 p.m. that night and accidentally write 6 a.m. or like, things happen. So our condolences to everybody who worked on this thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is a kind of a bad way to have your game out there. But it was there, and we had to do our jobs and jump on it and put the video up. So that's the story. Really, really fascinating.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see more. I hope it takes off. I feel like the Planet of the Apes series in general is one of the most kind of like quietly underrated. Like, I guess they do okay at the box office,
Right.
But that's like a solid trilogy. I mean, I haven't seen the last one, but everyone kind of agrees that it's good. But the first two are fabulous. So, hey, if you enjoyed this Planet of the Apes video, be sure to check out the video I shot at New York Comic Con where I put on this mocap suit and got to ride a fake horse pretending I was an ape using computers. And if you just like animals in general, we also played Snake Pass with an actual snake.